So now that we spent a little time kind of going through the introduction, let's talk about what each class is going to be like and what our setup's going to be. Or what's not really cool either. Let's face it, we want this to be an experience where everyone feels like they can share and contribute and grow. So the ground rules for class, they're written here. We're going to practice non-judgment. What does that mean? We think we know, right? It actually means neutrality, and that's not something that I'm personally good at. I can be quite polarizing when I have an opinion on something, but it's not worshiping my own opinion. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? I still have to slap myself in the face over that one, but I digress. Each week we're gonna do a little lesson. There's a video we can watch, or we can not use the video, and if there's a leader there that wants to teach material or facilitate the material, that's great. The whole point is you guys sharing. This isn't a sermon, but it is nice to sometimes hit those high points to bring the chapter to culmination so that people can make some intelligent comments. Due to the size of the group, that matters on how much time we each get. So there's a mini summary / interpretation of Julia's material that I do. That is followed by what we call check-ins, and that's where each person gets an allotted amount of time, and we have to stay pretty strict on that so that everybody gets a time. You could pass if you were having a ridiculously bad day or something, but overall we want you to share. And we ask that you share about either something from the book or what we're going to discuss as an artist date, or something from our morning pages, or something we call a synchronicity. So we're going to go through those things, and it gives you a lot of material that you can choose to discuss, whether you get 2 or 3 minutes or up to 5, depends how many ladies come. And we'll wear the name tags in the beginning. You're welcome. That helps us all kind of keep track of names. It's hard in the beginning. There's enough intimidation. So don't worry about the names. You'll learn them quickly. And to love each other well. It's going to be awesome. So what that means too is when we do the art at the end, so then we're going to all share, and then we're going to do an exploration. And again, there's no teaching. We literally get together and we put the stuff out, and might say, hey, this is basically how it happens, but you figure it out, and some things work and some things don't, and some people hate certain mediums and other people love them, and it's funny, and sometimes you finish and sometimes you don't even get close to finishing, and it's great. It's good. We learn. It's childlike. I know that seems weird. It's critical for it to be that way, really. You'll see. So when we get the art stuff at the end, sometimes we take photos, and it's not to really compare. So you're like, what are you doing? It's more to just show everyone what the experience is like. But it's being what they call a silent witness. And I mean, it's hard to not be like, oh my gosh, that's so good. It happens. But the goal is not to critique the art. It's really not about that. I know you're thinking, yeah, it is. That's why I signed up. But trust me, we can totally, we kind of acknowledge and then move to the next spot. I'll show you how that works. Super cool. And you do feel a sense of honor and appreciation for it. And but we do that in a non-judgmental way. We want to be encouraging and supportive, and these people are going to start feeling like family quickly based on what we're talking about and the vulnerability. That's just how life is. So we want to be active listeners, turn your cell phones on silent, don't take calls at the table, all that. I know you guys know this, but it's rude, you know what I mean? People listen to you. We want to make sure that we're being active, and we're considerate of the clock. If we know we each get 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully won't have to set a timer, but sometimes if that happens, I'll need to. So we also we try as hard as possible not to interrupt someone, which is so weird, because in normal conversation in groups, you go back and forth. With the check-ins, it's a little different. We typically do not interrupt each other. I'm not saying that's a 100% rule, but typically, no. Talk about it afterward, during the art time, connect after class to exchange numbers, connect on Facebook, whatever that is. There's a group. We encourage you to connect, but we want people to be able to get their thought out without being interrupted. And it's a huge tool. And a lot of us are just so guilty of that because we think we're going to forget. It's not an intentional, rude thing, or we really want to help somebody, right? But we're not going to do that in here. Does that make sense? All right. And then we're going to be very respecting of different viewpoints on faith. So I need to be super clear again. This is not a Bible study. There's people in here that are part of ministry, and they're our ministry sponsors, the Artist Way. But we do respect people that want to talk about God too. We're not pushing an agenda. We just ask that you listen to the Creator in this experience, the spiritual experience, creative experience, and make your own determinations. That's what happens. That's it. All right, so we're going to respect vulnerabilities and sharing life experiences and our God concept. And I just appreciate you guys really understanding where everyone comes. Some people swear, some people don't. We're not going to do that here. We're going to do our best to honor each other, but it's got to be like a judgment-free zone, okay? Awesome. And then obviously what's shared here stays in confidence. Our sacred circle operates on trust, otherwise in safety, otherwise it's useless. And that has worked out really well. We haven't really had any problems. But just explaining doesn't leave. Birdies. All right. Some of the other things. So you're going to read the chapter each week. The syllabus kind of tells you which ones we're doing. Obviously, they're in order, pretty much one a week. Depending on the class, sometimes we do 2 weeks, two chapters if the weeks are shorter. Kind of depends if there's breaks. Kind of make it work with people's lives for the sessions that we run. First thing is these morning pages. So what the heck are these? It's journaling. What? It needs to kind of be in the morning, guys. So it needs to become kind of a ritual before you freak out. Find a favorite spot. It's a new routine. I understand that for most of you, it's new. She talks a lot in the intro, and I also recommend getting the audiobook. Don't just get the audiobook. You must have a paper book because you write, and some of the words in the book you're going to want to change, and you're going to have notes, and there's a workbook. You totally need the physical copy of this book, and you should have it because we bought them for you. But I recommend the audio version because it's so meaty, and I like to do it on walks and all of that, you know, if you're an audio person. But create a new routine, okay? You're going to mind dump 3 pages. This isn't like the typical journaling. If your laundry list or let's say your grocery list comes up, all right, put it down in the middle of it. This could take up to 45 minutes. You're like, what? And it has to be in the morning. But it's not profound. There can be scribbles. Pay attention to what happens. Skip the weekends if you have to. Skip if there's a certain day a week that you're like gunning it from the time you wake up to the time you can't find. But if you try to do it at night, I'm not saying it's useless. It's definitely, sorry about that. It's definitely not is helpful because you're kind of reflecting on the end, and it's not as beneficial to how your life flows. And you'll understand that. Read the introduction. I know you have to read the next chapter too, safety, but go for that because you want to understand more about, and if you listen, if you're walking or you're listening, she goes through in more depth in the intro, like about the morning pages, and then continues to talk about them throughout the chapters. But I love when people share too what happens in their morning pages, whether they specifically want to share their entries or just like I was doing my morning pages and I had this realization, you know, whatever they want to say, but powerful morning pages are where it's at. But pay attention to what happens. Okay. They do really work better if you do them in the morning. Artist state. What? Okay, this is something intentional that you plan on purpose and you don't bring other people with you. And let me say that again. You do not bring other people with you. I'm serious. Fill the well. She explains this really well in the book. Take an outing that appeals to the senses. Something seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. Is our inner child. We're not adulting. We don't include others. We feed our creativity and our soul. It's permission to take care of ourselves. It's not something already on our to-do list. It's exploratory, inquisitive. Get your mind thinking, moving. It doesn't have to have a goal. It's us, okay, attached to it. For all of us overachievers. Tasks. There's tasks at the end of the chapter. Pick a couple out. They're great morning page material if you're looking for a prompt. Okay, if you don't know what to write about, look at the tasks. Also give it something to write about. Some people need prompts. It's cool. Sometimes that's your God time. Fine. I hope it's your God time. But you know what I mean? Like if you're already like a Bible study person, but maybe put the Bible down a little. Oh my gosh, don't freak out that I said that. But just, or journal on what you know what I mean? But you want this to also just be about your feelings too. Process all of that. All right, and the synchronicity. What is that? People really define this in different ways. I like asking how people define this. And I just want to say that to me, it's when something you know is just meant to be, or sometimes you don't know what it's meant to be. People call it divine help or fate or a miracle or miraculous, or interesting or magical or unbelievable. But you have to look for them and you have to pay attention. They're confirmations. That's what I think they are. They are interesting God winks. They are, everyone's concept's a little different. The song that lines up with this, or when you see the cardinal in the tree at that moment, when you really need a sign or whatever it is, right? Somebody just says something to you and you're like, that's so weird. Well, you're going to find a lot of synchronicities in this class because the Creator likes to move. He likes when people are in fellowship. He likes to surprise us. He likes to wink at us. Just watch for yourself at the synchronicities, and that's something else you can discuss. So when we get together and we do our check-ins each week, we can talk about the morning pages, our own experience with that, our artist day, what we did, tasks, or if we did those or want to talk about that, or the synchronicities, or the reading. So that's a lot of stuff. If you get 3 minutes, I mean, you could pick one, or, you couldn't talk about all of those every week. But we do encourage you to get a little more than, I had a bad day at work, or, oh, that looks like a hummingbird. Oh, a little early in the season. I don't know. I'm distracted easily. I'm sorry. But it's beautiful out here. So I think that wraps up introduction and what we need to know to get going. I really, really look forward to exploring with you over the next however many weeks it is to read this book together. And I just pray it makes a huge impact on your life. It changed mine.